Hey everyone, Grime Tano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of the new Skepta album, Konnichiwa. Skepta is a UK rapper.
Well, you can't review no more music from the UK.
Why?
You're banned from Gary Anthony ever since you did the James Blake review. That was a great album. You were right. It was a 10 out of 10. He was just a boy, Anthony. He's just a boy and a family.
Skepta is also a producer and co-founder of Boy Better Know Records. It's his fourth full-length album. People have been asking me just non-stop since it came out whether or not I've heard it yet, as if it's like the greatest thing to come out of the grime scene in a long time. And the buzz around this record is interesting considering just how many interesting hip-hop oriented records are coming out of the UK right now. Grime Vet Kano just dropped a really great album. And then there's also that new Baby Father project from Dean Blunt, where that record was very much a comment on the grime scene. And I think it's only a matter of time before a British rapper starts making some, like, Drake or Kanye-sized waves over here. I think we're kind of long overdue for a British invasion of some sort to sort of follow up the groundwork that artists like Dizzy Rascal and the Streets have laid over here. And it seems like artists from this side of the pond are definitely taking notice of the talent that's coming out of the UK right now, especially in the case of Skepta. Not only on this album do you see features from people like ASAP Mob's ASAP Nast, you have Pharrell on this album, but Skepta has also grabbed the attention of people like Kanye West and Drake. Of course, this record also features grime heavy hitters like Wiley and Skepta's brother, JME. So Skepta and this album are garnering quite a bit of attention. And I think the opening track, as well as the title of this album, sort of acknowledges that in a way. The idea of Skepta's name sort of branching out and gaining this international acclaim. And I could most certainly see Skepta's popularity growing off of the back of this record. This thing has the aggressive delivery that a good grime record should have, but also has a good focus on hooks, choruses, and production. And the beats are actually pretty diverse across the length of this album. There are actually a few where it seems like Skepta is reaching outside of the usual influences of grime and maybe incorporating some sounds that would appeal to a more American audience. Now, this thing is 12 tracks, it's 45 minutes, it's pretty straight and to the point. It's not overstaying its welcome or anything like that. The longer songs on here, many of them are actually padded out by these lengthy phone conversations that I guess kind of give you more context about Skepta's mindset or just kind of where he is geographically and the kind of culture that he lives within in the grime scene. But even though this album is short, Skepta does pack a lot into these pretty succinct and catchy songs. We just have speedy flows and banger beats all over this thing, but these are like banger beats from across the pond. These aren't just like your southern trap flavored bangers or anything like that with, you know, just these rattling hi-hats and really straightforward kick drums and sub bass, though there is a little influence of that from time to time on this thing. These are bangers that are influenced by the world of electronic music coming from the UK. You know, there's a little bit of two-step in here, there's a little bit of dubstep in there, there's a little bit of UK garage in there, a little bit of drum and bass, and almost each one of these heavy, bustling beats is matched with an infectious refrain, like the opening cut with the very melodic lead vocals on its hook, Konnichiwa, or on the song Lyrics, Lyrics for Lyrics Come, or on Crime Rhythm, where essentially Skepta writes a song about being searched by the police and being stripped down, but he's not a Chippendale. And I cannot forget the song It Ain't Safe on the block, not even for the cops, which has this kind of rickety set of hi-hats worked into the track that feels a little southern, but sort of like from the old school or something, like I'm listening to some 3 6 Mafia. The song also comes complete with a very blatant little B reference in the lyrics. I will also give it to the song Ladies Hit Squad with ASAP Nast, also a pretty catchy hook, but I do think this track is the worst song on the entire album, not only because of ASAP Nast's vocals on this thing. Sounds like he's kind of singing a leftover Drake melody, but has kind of this damogenesis quality to his singing. And not only that, but the lyrics on the hook are pretty insipid. And Skepta is trying to deliver these verses where the track is about sex, about kind of seducing a woman, and he doesn't really change up his delivery or his flow style on this cut at all. So even though he's rapping about something very different from what he's rapping about on the song Crime Rhythm, he is still like sounding super aggressive and way too serious for the topic of the track. Quit talking numbers is also a fantastic song. I will say the track owes much of its appeal to the instrumental and Pharrell's hook, but I do like that Skepta actually comes through with a topical set of verses where he's pretty much very unenthusiastic about talking about or dealing with, I guess, these inner workings of the music industry and fraudulent people in the music industry. He's much more focused on his art. I also like the tracks Man and Shut Down. Both of them are incredibly gritty, just hard as fucking nails grime songs with resonant bass and bustling percussion and killer flows. On the song Man, Skepta kind of paints himself as this lone wolf figure, someone who just kind of sticks to his pack. He doesn't socialize outside of his crew and these gangs that he says he runs with. And he's kind of given people the side eye who all of a sudden are coming up to him and being like, oh, fam, fam, fam. It's kind of like Skepta's take on the whole no new friends thing. And there's even actually a point on the song where he brings it back to the days of MySpace beef. Aesthetically and instrumentally and in terms of the flows as well, this album has a lot going for it. I can't deny that. And Skepta has a captivating delivery despite not being able to tone it down occasionally when it is necessary, like on Ladies Hit Squad and the closing track here where he's trying to, I guess, reason with this woman who he's essentially saying, sorry, you know, I'm not texting you back, I'm just super busy and man's going out and trying to make something of himself. But even on the tracks that I like, I can't help but feel like as I'm listening to them, maybe there's some kind of inherent American hip-hop bias that's been ingrained in me because of where I'm from and just the kind of hip-hop that I grew up with, because I feel like I'm listening to a completely different standard of like lyricism on this record, or just many high-profile grime records, than I am when I'm listening to a high-profile American rap record. And not to say that Skepta is a terrible lyricist. He certainly blows away, you know, your Chief Keefs and your Trinidad Jameses, and I would much rather listen to the lyrics on this record than many of the bars from like Kanye's latest record, or even Drake's latest record. But there are some questionable lines on this record, like that whole fuck me but not literally detour on the opening track where, yeah, we know we didn't need it qualified. But then again, we have a moment where Skepta says that he has been on the road for 10 years and that's a permanent mark that he's left, that you can't smudge him from. I loved that line. I thought that was really great metaphor. But then there is the winning Sheen line, the Santa Claus never came to my house line, the you think you're a killer but your name's not Cam line. There's also the return of the Mac, I'm alive just like Tupac line, or the whole Simon Cowell looking for a girl with that X factor, but I won't judge you line. Again, I'll give it to Skepta that he can come through with a topical track, he can stay focused on that topic, he can come through with a hook, and he has a great ear for production as well. The features are relatively solid on this project too. But to me, the most glaring issue is just kind of those 1 to 2 bars that work their way into almost every song that just make me wince a little bit. Aside from that, I think this is a really solid record. Skepta and many artists from the UK are continuing to make noise in the hip-hop scene over there, and it's a good noise, especially on this album. I'm feeling a decent strong 7 on this thing. Transition. Have you given this album a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best. You're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you'd like. Please subscribe or you'll die. Anthony Fantano, Skepta, Konnichiwa, forever.